Hello my viewers and welcome back to my channel. Subscribe because you will find my videos interesting and intriguing. Tap on the notification bell so that you don't have to miss on our interesting videos and discussions. Tap like and don't forget to be part of the conversation by simply sharing your thoughts, views on what you think about the video. Now today I welcome you to exploring the lens of perception. Now this video gets us into a thought-provoking experience where my fellow black individuals gain insight through the eyes of an Asian man. Now this unique perspective arises after he stirred controversy by questioning why people don't just comply with the police, as if that's the case. Now in a nation grappling with systemic issues, particularly police brutality towards minorities, especially black communities, the narrative unfolds. Is compliance the solution, or does a more complex reality persist? Join me in this conversation as we unravel the layers of this contentious issue, raising questions that challenge preconceptions and foster a deeper understanding. Watch this video. I will be right back.
Look, I know what I'm about to say might be seen as really controversial, but why don't you just comply with the police? Because I've seen my fair share now of police brutality videos, and I'm 1000% confident that at least half of them wouldn't have died if they just complied with what the police were saying. And look, I completely get that these guys are probably in their pants in fear right now, because I would be too. I'd be scared as hell if I was in that situation. But I'm going to ask you guys this as well. If you were in a random situation where it wasn't a cop, but it was you getting robbed by somebody in a dark alleyway, and would you act the same way as you would, where you're just flailing your arms around, screaming and kicking them? No, because that's how you like, I just find it really weird that these guys just start playing IRL dumb ways as soon as there's a cop involved. Like, how do you guys do every single thing possible to raise your chances of getting by a cop today? I genuinely find it appalling. Like, my guy, it's just a routine traffic stop. I don't know why you just want to turn into the Flash all of a sudden and just speed off into the distance, because, like, you weren't even in trouble in the first place. You're putting yourself in more danger for no reason. And for the people that say, oh, I don't comply with police is because I hate all police, that shit would make no sense either. I hate my English teacher, but I still listen to what the hell she says. Like, not listening to my English teacher and not doing any of the work she assigns is not going to help my situation any better. It's going to make it even worse. Same reason for these cops. You can hate cops as much as you want, but not complying with them is actually worse for you than it is good for you. Like, if I ever get pulled over by a cop, I'm turning into Siri for 30 minutes straight, answering every single command in question. No questions asked. They're going to ask me, what's your name? Elijah Amihan, sir. Korean, Chinese, American. I live at 2234 West Ridge Road. Like, I'm answering every question just so I can get out there as fast as possible. But for some reason, love arguing police for no goddamn reason. Refusing to answer the most basic questions like, what's your name? Oh, I'm not going to give you my name. Can I see your ID and license? Oh, no, I'm not going to give that to you today, sir. It's like, why are you making it so hard for yourself? Like, you're acting like the cops are like Facebook and Instagram, and they're going to sell your info to big tech companies for advertisements. They're just normal or just trying to do their job. And look, I'm not trying to say that police brutality doesn't happen to people in this country. It 1000% does. But what I am trying to say is that you not complying with police does not make you some advocate anti-cop rebel. It just makes you that's just wasting you and the cops' time for no reason.
To put it in simple terms, people have, and they still, people might not want to now, because at the end of the day, police or not, that's a person, that person decides if you live or not. The fact that you don't know why or may not understand why means you're not really educated on what you're talking about. There's a lot of reasons why someone should pass, current happenings in history. George Floyd, for example, the biggest example out there, 2020. Like, the fact you don't get it now means I can't help you. So, my man, I can't help you.
Okay, so this was a really interesting video, and I don't think he had any malintent behind this. The thing about police brutality for minorities, and specifically black people, is that being, pulled over by the police is way worse than being trapped in a dark alleyway with a goddamn goon. Like, yo, I've literally put on me before and I laughed at that. But seeing a police officer 20 feet away from me scares me. You never know if you're gonna be the guy the police officer decides to take his anger out on. And the sad truth about these routine traffic stops and these routine home invasions is that it doesn't matter if you comply or not, you're still going. I would much rather go out kicking and screaming and making sure my story gets told than just sitting there and letting my... It's never just a routine traffic stop. It's never just searching someone's apartment. It's never just identifying a suspect. When these people look at you as less than human, as beneath them, you're going regardless. I don't think it's a matter of complying.
I'm gonna start by saying I see what you was trying to get at. But at the same time, no, I don't. But before I get into why you're misguided, let me listen to your questions first. The reason why you wouldn't act out if someone has your back trying to rob you is because that person is there for the express purpose to take something from you, and if you don't comply, you will get... This person is not trying to operate within the best interest of public safety. This person obviously doesn't give a damn about the laws that are restricting him from acting any type of way, or else they wouldn't be robbing you. And you know what? That's really wild as hell, because to even go up to someone and want to rob them is like, it's wild. A cop's job is 90% of the time to give someone a citation when they violated a traffic rule. There reasonably should be no expectation that your failure to comply or follow some direction, as long as you're not directly posing a threat to a cop, should result in... It says a lot that you had to draw a parallel to a robbery in order to get in the same lane of behavior that cops exhibit, despite the fact that cops are supposed to be public servants. Nobody or they mama has ever said that I don't comply with police because I just hate the police. Nobody and they mama is actually making a conscious effort 9 times out of 10 to not listen to the police. In the example of your English teacher, let's say you're on your way to a class and you got a test or something that you need to do, and all you need to do is just make it through this hallway to get to that class. All of a sudden, Miss Smith decides to pull you to the side for no reason because you weren't doing anything, and now she's pressing you, threatening to hit you with a ruler if you don't listen, and then she just gonna go back to her room and spend printing out a slip for you to go to the dean's office. Mind you, you had a whole normal copacetic fine day up until this point. You're probably gonna be a little angry or miffed at minimum. If I were to turn to Miss Smith and be like, you don't even gotta be stopping me right now, I'm not even doing nothing, I'm just trying to speed walk to get to my class, I shouldn't expect for giving lip. Like, I can understand with the frustration of people not wanting to answer questions, but a lot of the time it's because of a misunderstanding of the law on behalf of the person getting pulled over, or a lot of times even the cop. But nobody is failing to comply with police just because they want to be an anti-cop rebel or whatever. In fact, we can talk a lot about this, but let's actually dig into something. This entire time we've been sitting back acting like police are the most rational, beings on the planet. Like, you just put in a 1 or a 0 and then they give you your ticket and go about your day if you give them no trouble. People get put on edge with the police and don't really like being around them because they know even if they do things right, they could still end up being somebody who was literally handcuffed in the back of a cop car, and then the deputy started firing randomly at his own cop car because he thought it was coming from it when it was an acorn hitting the roof. You just arrested John Wick. How did you arrest somebody and not pat them down enough to realize they didn't have, then think they escaped the handcuffs and started? Of that, remember when Tyree Nichols gave that 71 commands in 13 minutes that contradicted themselves? Now, obviously, no one should run from the police, but once you get caught by the police, we have a Bill of Rights for a reason. So that cops can't just... When you can actually see a trial where you face the consequences of running. I was gonna show a lot of this body cam footage from the Tyree Nichols situation, but it is kind of graphic. But he is the most... You can look up this source if you want to. He is the most... They're yelling at him to get on the ground and roll on his stomach before they... Meanwhile, the dude's foot is on his wrist, so it's physically impossible for him to roll over. Because in the heat of the moment, when your whole day's been interrupted and someone's yelling at you, let alone 4 officers yelling at you, the human response is to be like, okay, hold on, y'all cool down, I'm not really doing nothing, this is kind of a lot. And I keep leading by saying when you're not really doing nothing, because data like this exists, where between 2012 and 2014, black people in Ferguson, Missouri accounted for 85% of vehicle stops, 90% of citations, and 93% of arrests, despite comprising 67% of the population. And black people were more than twice as likely as we searched after a traffic stop, even when controlling for related variables, and they were 26% less likely to actually be in possession of illegal or weapons. The Justice Department also found that the racial discrepancy in speeding tickets increased dramatically when the researchers looked at tickets based on an officer's word versus tickets based on an objective standard like a radar gun. So there is evidence that cops, some of the time when they'll get black people, just do it with them or because of unconscious bias. So going back to the teacher analogy, if you were just trying to get to your class and then there was a bunch of teachers who will just stop you and then they were investigated and it turns out they were actually stopping you for a reason when you look at what they were supposed to stop you for as opposed to what they just said, would you not be a little bit more on edge when you're around these teachers, or at least not really respect them as much, considering that you know that they just be doing this for no reason? And more importantly, should a foreseeable outcome of you being more on edge and not 100% complying mean that you, instead of facing the proper consequences of your action, which is getting whatever discipline.
Now, in this compelling exploration, we navigate through the aftermath of an Asian man's social media inquiry into compliance with the police, as we scrutinize his stance that non-compliance is a contributing factor to tragic outcomes. The video exposes a stark reality. Police brutality disproportionately affects Black individuals. The question lingers: does compliance guarantee safety in a system marred by deeply ingrained biases? Now, the video delves into a myriad of incidents where complying didn't shield individuals from fatal encounters, especially within the Black community. What emerges is a poignant narrative challenging the oversimplified notion that compliance is a panacea. How does this narrative intersect with the harsh reality faced by Black Americans? Venturing deeper into the heart of this discourse, we scrutinize instances where compliance fails to shield individuals from the pervasive issue of police brutality, particularly within America's Black communities. The video unfolds a narrative that goes beyond a singular perspective, prompting us to ask, what role do systemic biases play in perpetuating this cycle? Exploring real-life stories, we confront the notion that compliance alone is the antidote to the systemic challenges ingrained in law enforcement. As we unravel the layers, it becomes evident that the issue extends far beyond individual actions, raising critical questions about institutional accountability. How can we navigate a path toward genuine reform that addresses the root causes? This video challenges us to reflect on the complexities surrounding police interactions, inviting a nuanced conversation that transcends surface-level debates. So join me in dissecting these narratives, fostering empathy, and contemplating the broader implications for justice and equality. Now, while the argument for compliance as a solution to mitigate police brutality carries weight in theory, the harsh reality on America's streets paints a far more complex picture. Numerous incidents stand as stark contradictions to the notion that mere compliance ensures safety, especially for Black individuals. Consider the tragic cases where compliance didn't act as a shield. The unalivings of Philando Castile, Eric Garner, and countless others, despite their cooperation, underscore the deeply rooted systemic issues in law enforcement. These instances challenge the oversimplified narrative that complete compliance is a universal safeguard. It's crucial to recognize that the problem extends beyond individual actions. Systemic biases, racial profiling, and a lack of accountability contribute significantly to the alarming rates of police brutality against Black communities. This video aims to dissect these troubling realities, urging a more nuanced understanding of the systemic challenges that persist even when compliance is present. Peeling back the layers of this contentious debate, a critical examination reveals the inadequacy of the assertion that compliance alone can shield individuals from police brutality. Let's look deeper into the unsettling examples that challenge this perspective. Consider the case of George Floyd, whose compliance did not prevent the use of excessive force leading to his tragic unaliving. The very notion that compliance ensures safety crumbles when faced with incidents like Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old boy pew-pewed despite holding a toy pew-pew, or Breonna Taylor, whose compliance with the law did not spare her from a fatal police raid. These heart-wrenching examples punctuate a larger narrative of systemic issues, racial profiling, lack of accountability, and ingrained biases within law enforcement. It's imperative to confront the uncomfortable truth that compliance, while important, does not guarantee protection in a system plagued by deep-rooted problems. Now, as we delve further into the intricacies of police brutality, it becomes evident that the belief in compliance as an equivocal shield is a simplistic perspective unraveling in the face of grim realities. The landscape is littered with cases where individuals, despite complying with police orders, tragically got unalived. Consider Walter Scott, whose compliance didn't prevent him from being fatally pew-pewed while fleeing. Michael Brown, another example, was unarmed and compliant, yet he fell victim to excessive force. These instances challenge the notion that mere cooperation ensures safety. The issue extends beyond isolated incidents, exposing systemic flaws such such as racial profiling, bias policing, and a lack of accountability, compliance therefore cannot be divorced from the broader context of institutional problems that perpetuate injustice. This video is an exploration of these systemic challenges, urging a comprehensive understanding that goes beyond simplistic conclusions and demands a re-evaluation of policing practices. Unraveling the layers of police brutality against Black individuals in America requires confronting uncomfortable truths that debunk the oversimplified idea that mere compliance is a safeguard. A deeper exploration brings forth distressing examples where individuals, despite adhering to police directives, faced fatal consequences. Consider the tragic case of Philando Castile, whose compliance with an officer's instructions did not prevent him from being fatally pupilled during a routine traffic stop. Similarly, Daniel Prude's compliance during a mental health crisis did not shield him from a fatal encounter with law enforcement. These incidents underscore the broader systemic issues within law enforcement: racial biases, lack of de-escalation training, and the alarming frequency of excessive force against Black individuals. It's a stark reminder that the problem transcends individual actions and demands a comprehensive re-evaluation of policing practices. This video serves as a call to dissect these complex issues, encouraging a nuanced understanding that goes beyond surface level solutions. But what do you, my viewers, have to say about this video? Share your comments in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.